Hi everyone, and welcome to another video about becoming a fluent and confident English speaker. Today, I'm going to give you 5 tips that lead to near native fluency. Mind you, I'm not saying that you have to sound native in order to be an effective communicator and feel confident, but bear with me and you'll see what I mean. Let me first tell you a personal story so that you can see my point. When I was still learning English in one of my ESL classes many years ago, one day we had to write a short essay. I can't recall the topic, but I remember that I had already started to feel more comfortable with the language and my writing skills. So I felt quite confident when I was handing it in to the teacher. On the day when our teacher returned the essays to the class, she looked at me with a smile and in front of the whole class, she said, "Great job, Daniela. You're so good that with some more practice, I see you reaching almost a native level." My classmates were astonished and congratulated me enthusiastically, but at that very moment, my heart sank. While they had focused on the word native, all I'd heard was almost. Although I didn't say anything, a voice inside of me was screaming, "Why did you have to say almost?" I felt that whatever I do now or might do in the future would never be enough. I would always be almost. Although I'm convinced that my teacher had never intended to deprive me of the hope that one day I would be able to write like a native, I couldn't help but question my abilities. To me, at that time, a native level meant making no mistakes and building sentences that would feel natural to the reader. But now I know that what my teacher said was a compliment. In linguistics, the term near native, what I think she probably meant, is used to describe speakers who have achieved such a level of proficiency that they can barely be distinguished from native speakers in everyday communication. But I didn't know that many years ago. In fact, I only recently found out what this term meant. Mind you, there is a difference between feeling and sounding near native and the sound like a native wave that has erupted in recent years. You can be perceived as near native if you use correct grammar, vocabulary, pronunciation, and body language. You can also feel near native if you're deeply immersed in the language and culture in a way that you understand all their nuances. Lately, however, I've been hearing more and more non-native speakers expressing their desire to sound like a native. This comes as a result of the negative bias that many native and some non-native speakers have against people with certain foreign accents. For example, according to a study, I'll put the link in the description box, speakers who come from Western European languages such as German, Dutch, Swedish, and French are perceived to be more trustworthy and even more intelligent. On the other hand, speakers whose native languages are Russian, Chinese, Arabic, and some others are trusted less and perceived to be less friendly. Moreover, many people with foreign accents have reported a feeling of otherness and unbelonging. This is problematic for immigrants who hope to build a life and career in the United States. After all, we humans are social creatures and we strive to belong. But the reality is that it's almost impossible for most people who started speaking English as adults to sound indistinguishable from native speakers. And in today's global world, this is not needed either. English is an international language and has become a lingua franca, a common language among non-native speakers. But if you live in an English-speaking country, you can still achieve a near-native fluency and feel a part of the culture. Now, let's go over the 5 factors that will help you to become a fluent and confident communicator. They have certainly worked for me. The first one is motivation and faith in your abilities. Motivation is a great tool because it stimulates people who want to feel like a part of the culture. In order to get motivated, think of something that you really want to achieve, like getting a job in the US, for example, or going to college in an English-speaking country. However, keep in mind that while motivation is a great factor, it can also be fragile. It comes and goes. One day you might feel super motivated and the next day you don't feel like practicing. What has helped me in days when I lacked motivation but didn't have the habit of practicing yet was faith. Not a religious faith, but faith in my ability to learn anything I put my mind into. So even when you lack motivation, still trust that if you do the work, positive results will be inevitable. The next factor is mindset. You've probably heard about the difference between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. People with a fixed mindset believe that talent and intelligence are innate, and if you lack talent for learning foreign languages, for example, you will never be able to learn English well. On the other hand, people with a growth mindset believe they can develop any skill if they work hard enough. I must say that I grew up in a country where a fixed mindset was a more common approach to life. In Bulgaria, I often heard people describing someone who was born to do certain things. I've had this belief ingrained in me since a very young age, and it wasn't easy for me to change my mindset. I remember, for instance, when as a kid, I was dying to play rhythmic gymnastics, but a few different coaches said that this sport wasn't for me because I was too tall. They didn't care about how strong my desire was and how hard I was willing to work. They just pointed out a physical feature that I couldn't change. But when I came to the US, I saw that many people have a growth mindset and I liked it. Since then, I've learned many different things that I had never thought were possible. Factor number 3 is confidence. Believing in your abilities to learn a foreign language is often more important than drilling phrasal verbs and idioms. Many people say that confidence comes with knowledge, and I agree with that. But I also think that being confident in your abilities to acquire a skill is salient. That is, not your actual knowledge, but the belief in your ability to gain knowledge. I often see people who know tons of words and grammar, but they still don't feel confident because someone has told them that English is hard and they don't believe that they will ever be fluent. So they keep studying more with the hope that confidence will come along with more words, more slang, more idioms, more grammar, more. But the truth is that more is a mirage if you lack confidence in the first place. When I was a kid, my mom used to say that English is easy, and although I didn't start learning it seriously until I was an adult, I wasn't scared. I just believed that it was easy, even when it wasn't. You can do the same. Just tell yourself that you're a capable person and you can learn anything if you put time and effort into it. Next on my list is listening. Listening is extremely important, especially in the beginning. The more you listen, the more you can distinguish between different sounds and grammatical structures. The American linguist Stephen Krashen discusses the importance of comprehensible input. Here is a quote from him. "The best methods are those that supply comprehensible input in low-anxiety situations containing messages that students really want to hear. These methods do not force early production in the second language, but allow students to produce when they're ready, recognizing that improvement comes from supplying communicative and comprehensible input, and not from forcing and correcting production." Although in this particular quote, Krashen discusses the very early stages of a second language acquisition, listening is an important part even when you already know some English. The more you listen, the more acquainted you become with the suprasegmental parts of the language, such as rhythm and intonation. And last but not least is speaking. English is more than memorizing vocabulary and studying grammar, but many people find speaking to be the most challenging. It is, however, the most important when it comes to human connection. It's important to understand that no one has ever learned a foreign language without making tons of mistakes. And I mean no one. So try to speak as much as you can. This will have a positive impact not only on your English, but on your confidence as well. As for me, many years have passed since I forgave my teacher for her almost native comment. In fact, she didn't need to be forgiven for anything. She was actually praising me. I understand this now, and although I can't deny that I like it when someone compliments my level of English, I'm not so hung up on perfectionism anymore. I just want to be able to write and sound like myself, express my ideas, and share my experiences. Now, tell me in the comments, has anyone unintentionally made you feel like you would never be able to reach an important goal? If you found this video helpful, please click on the like button and subscribe to my channel if you haven't done it yet. It'll help me grow and share more of my knowledge and experiences with you. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.